Hi, everybody.
Hi, Carmel.
See how I got right on tonight?
Perfect. I'm glad you were able to get it.
For Monday, March 1st, 2021, to order. And we'll go straight into health and recreation. Ms. Patrick.
Hi, I'd like to call Health and Recreation to order. And the first item on the agenda is Mr. Mudavaran speaking about a letter of support for the Black Lives Matter art project. Mr. Mudavaran?
Thank you, Ms. Patrick. We have Ms. Rachel Can online, and we'll invite her to kind of walk us through with regards to this program and the support letter.
Okay.
Ms. Can?
Okay, hello everyone. First, I would like to thank Mayor McCarthy and the City Council members for their continual support of the Black Lives Matter art project and for allowing me to speak to you today. In service of the project, we've put together a panel of invested community members. The panel has been meeting regularly and has decided that the project will be broken up into a 3-part art tour with a link to a website that will hold artist bios and education about the art and about the tour. One piece will speak to the brilliant contributions of Black women. This will be housed in Jerry Burrell Park. The next piece will speak to the struggle and to the fight for Black lives. This will be housed in Central Park. And the final piece will be a mural illustrating all that we're fighting for, our vision of hope for the future. We'd like this piece to be on a building in downtown Schenectady that will really make a splash in the downtown area, becoming a beacon for a cultural and artistic renaissance for our city. For this purpose, we're soliciting potential business owners, and we thought that a letter of support from the city might help to convince them of the value of their participation in this project. So I'm here tonight formally requesting a letter of support for this project.
Okay, Mr. Mudavaran, would you like to add anything?
No, I just, it's a letter. I think Ms. Can kind of detail it out for us. So, we'd like to move forward with the support letter from the council.
Okay, does anyone have any of my colleagues have any questions?
No, Ms. Patrick, I don't have any questions, but I would like to say that, and given the fact that we funded this project, I think that it would be ideal that we would show our support by providing a letter and letting the larger community know that we are in support of this. And I appreciate Ms. Khan coming on and actually seeking that out. So thank you. I definitely, I'm not on the committee, but I certainly support this project, and I'm glad to see that it's moving forward. In spite of all we're going through, they're still working hard and getting the project done.
Thank you, Ms. Porterfield. Well, I too very much support this project, and I look forward to seeing its fruition. So if there's no other questions,
Ms.
I'll
Patrick,
move it.
can I
Go ahead.
just ask Ms. Khan something?
sure, Ms.
Yeah,
Lewis.
what building are you looking at? Have you designated any buildings that you want in downtown?
Well, we have a list of about 6 buildings that we're looking at. We wanted to ask all of them, to see who would be willing to step forward. Um,
So what if you have more than one person stepping forward?
well, then we would pick the ones that we're the most excited about.
Okay, all right.
I definitely wanted to make a big impact, so I would like to have the biggest building we can get.
Okay,
Sounds good.
all right. Thank you.
All right, may I have a motion?
I move it.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you very much. And Ms. Khan, we look forward to seeing the wonderful work that's going to happen. Thank you for being with us tonight.
Thank you.
So next up is, on the agenda is an item to authorize the mayor or his designee to enter into a contract with Northeast Turf and Irrigation for the maintenance of the Schenectady Municipal Golf Course. And I'd like to ask Mr. Wallen to talk about this a little bit for us, please.
Yep, good evening. So back in January, realizing that our contract for the maintenance of the golf course had expired, we put out a RFP for this. The term of the RFP was similar to what has been done in the past, a standard 3-year contract with 2 single-year options at the end. We received 3 proposals to the RFP, Northeast Turf, Brightview, and Up to Par Golf. A committee of 3 reviewed the proposals. The committee consisted of myself, Matt Daly, golf professional, and golf course committee chair, Gordy Fulani. After reviewing the proposals, we came to a consensus agreement that the highest ranked proposal via qualifications was Northeast Turf and Irrigation. We reviewed their price after comparatively to the others that were submitted in a separate sealed envelope, and their price was in line, almost identical to those of the other proposals. So we recommend that we move forward still with a new contract for Northeast Turf and Irrigation as laid out in their proposal.
Okay. Looked like a very thorough review of the 3 proposals. And I want to see if any of my colleagues have any comments or questions for Mr. Wallen.
Ms. Patrick?
Yes, Ms. Porterfield.
Mr. Wallen, I was just wondering, is this the same contractor that we've been using, or is this someone new?
This is the same contractor.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Good question. Any other questions from my colleagues?
I'll move this.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, I'll look for a motion to adjourn Health and
I'll
Recreation.
move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Call to order public safety. The first item is authorize the city of Schenectady to act as lead agency and issue a negative declaration for the pedestrian safety action plan project. Mr. Wallen.
So as you're aware, we have a federal aid project to improve signals and intersections in the downtown area. One of those signals is located in the historic Stockade neighborhood. As a result, they asked that we declare lead agency and do a full seeker. At a meeting about a month ago, maybe 6 weeks ago, we declared lead agency and authorized the mayor to send out letters as such. We sent out those letters, a sample of which was in your package. We did not have any objections returned. So now we are asking that we officially declare lead agency and issue a negative declaration for the plan and authorize the mayor to sign the next form so we can keep the project moving forward.
Thank you. Any questions coming from my colleague? May I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Mr. Wallen.
Thank you.
The next item is review of the guidelines, bylaws for the Civilian Police Review Board with the repeal of 50A. Ms. Porterfield?
Oh, yeah, okay. Thank you, Mr. Mudavaren. So I'm bringing this back. We had some discussion at our last meeting and I proposed some changes, and so there was some concern about the changes, and they're specific to the allowing a person who previously had a felony on their record, and also the confidentiality were the two that that stick out. And in addition to this, the time frame. So Mr. Colden was kind enough to send me some information, and we did meet. And so there are some proposed changes, so which I would like to, which all of you received via email. And so I just wanted to discuss those changes. First of all, if anybody has any questions or anything they, want to say about that, and then I can just move forward with my reasoning for the changes.
Mr. Mudavaren?
Go ahead, please.
Mr. Mudavaren, yeah. So are we going to go point by point of these recommended changes? Are we going to talk about each one? Because I'm prepared to do so, but.
So are you just talking about the three that there were more additional changes made to? Or actually?
Changes that in the document that you sent us yesterday?
Yes.
I'd
Yes.
like to go over them. I think it's worthwhile to do this, and I'd like to get this finalized and move on. So I didn't know if we could talk about each one.
Yes, so I'm highlighting it on my screen here so we can go through each of the changes and then talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
So, Ms. Porter, if you can take the lead and just, go ahead.
Okay, so the first one is, the first was just really simple, just adding the word any to when it came to bias. That was simple, right? We're all okay with that. All right.
Yes.
So then under 93.5, and this is the part where it talked about whether a person could be a person that had been convicted and served time for a felony. And there was some concern that that couldn't be, that should not be. So what I went back to do is to actually strengthen the language. Initially, it said only if the person had committed a crime against law enforcement. But I added to or convicted of a felony violation crime, or has been incarcerated in the past 5 years, or is on parole or probation or parole. So it still allows the person, but gives it a little bit some more strength as to them meeting certain criteria. So that is where I thought that we could, we should be able to do that. As I have stated in the past, people that have committed prior crimes and then paid their debt to society are now people that can also vote and engage in other ways. And I also want to say that the folks who might fall in this category bring a different lens and perspective to the conversation than those who do not. And that is not always a negative perspective. So I think it's valuable to have a person, to allow a person, if they should so choose, to be able to be on this board. So that's where I am with that particular one.
Mr. Mudavaren?
Go ahead, please.
So I support these changes. I think this is a great compromise and appreciate the additional language that Ms. Porterfield added here. So I would support this change. I did want to say that should we have a time period perhaps on the probation or parole as we do on the incarceration part, that maybe add that too, that maybe probation or parole in the last 5 years? I don't know how Ms. Porterfield would feel about that, but otherwise
I would agree. Ms. Patrick, I would agree with that if we could have that. I would be okay with the 5 years if we added the probation or parole in there.
So let me just be clear, Ms. Patrick. So you're saying that you wanted to, if not on parole or probation in the last 5 years, is that essentially what you're saying?
yes.
Okay, I'm comfortable with that.
Otherwise, I thought this was a great change and a nice compromise.
I'm fine with that.
Mr.
Go
Mudavaren?
ahead. Yeah, go ahead, please.
Oh, sorry, I wasn't sure if it went through.
No.
I initially objected to this, but I appreciate Ms. Porterfield's work on this. And given the 5 years on the probation or parole in the past 5 years, I will go along with that as well. I appreciate your effort. Thank you.
Okay,
Proceeding
so,
on Board of Appeals.
all right, so we have to go down to 93.7.
Okay.
And this is from the last time when we were discussing this. This is where I had brought up about the signing a confidentiality agreement. And as Mr. Colden said, that wasn't, for various reasons, that isn't something we could do because of the open meetings law. So what he was kind enough to do was to help me with some language from other municipalities that have a civilian police review board. And so this is what we've come up with, which clearly states that people, what they can and cannot do with documents, what they can and cannot do in conversation. I'm not going to read it verbatim because you all have it, but that I think this is this clearly says to folks when they join the board what their limitations are in terms of discussing things outside of the meeting. I think it's important that we have it because even though the next bullet in this chapter says if you violate confidentiality, but we had no language that said what violating confidentiality would look like. So I think it's important that we say what violating confidentiality looks like, or because you can't hold someone accountable for something when they didn't know what it was that they would be accountable for. So you know, taking a look at this and again using language that has come from other municipalities, I think we came to some good language here that makes it clear to the people who are choosing to be a part of this board and also to the public what the expectations can be in terms of confidentiality.
Mr. Mudavaren?
Go ahead, Ms. Patrick.
Okay, I completely think these are good changes as well. I do want to just point out that there is also a change in the first sentence under 93.7, which is taking out within the first year of appointment, and I agree with that as well. So I think these are good changes. I think it strengthens what the what's the word? What the consequence would be if someone did speak outside the meeting. The addendum that's at the bottom of the page, Ms. Porterfield, I support all of those except for A, because I do think it has to remain an open meeting. So I would, I don't know if we're trying to add those in as well, those footnotes, but the footnote A is the only one that I would not agree with.
Ms. Porterfield?
Yes, Mr. Colden.
Thank you. Mr. Mudavaren, may I just speak on this?
Go ahead, please. Go ahead, sir.
The reason why I included it where it was, when I was, after speaking with Ms. Porterfield, I wanted the council members to obviously be able to see other language to consider for this purpose. So actually, Ms. Patrick, A through D, that was not proposed actually in the, you know, to be included. It was there for consideration in case you know, there are questions or people want to see other language that have been used in other municipalities.
Oh, I see. Okay, all right. Fine, thank you.
And and I did skip over that, Ms. Patrick, regarding being trained in the first year, because I think that time frame needs to be much shorter. I don't think that they have an entire year of being on the board and voting on things, but rather they need to have that training prior to doing that, because currently that does not happen.
Well, do you want to, well, the,
It says
the
that.
statement about, yeah, the statement of the orientation, I think.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
I totally agree with that. I actually thought it meant that we wanted to just have ongoing training, not just in the first year of appointment.
Oh, okay.
So I'm great with taking first year of appointment out. It gives us more flexibility.
So, Mr. Mudavaren,
Go ahead, please.
so training is not going to be ongoing? Or they need to be trained within, I'm just a little confused, that's all. The training is going to be done immediately and it will be ongoing?
Yeah, maybe we need to have.
So the goal is here, first of all, previously, it only had to be within the first year. So a person could be sitting on the board for 12 months and never have gone through training, which to me did not make sense. Yep. So the language has been changed that they need to, before even voting on cases, they have to have that training. In terms of ongoing training, I don't know that's something that the police department it currently does. It's my understanding they do not. So if that's language that we want to add, then we certainly could do that. I think it makes sense to have training on a regular basis. However, as I said, it was not in there before, so it's not something that I addressed.
So, are we gonna, we're not gonna have training within the first year? That, do they need to be trained before they vote on any, or, so there's not gonna be, there's not a, it has to be done within 30 days, or it has to be done, like, there's no time frame, correct?
Yes, there is. It says completion of the orientation program concerning the goals, powers, and procedures of the CPRB is required before a member may participate as a voting
All
member.
right.
So it's there.
Do you want to add anything, Ms. Porterfield, that says within the first X number of days of somebody being on the board, or should we leave it more?
Just thought maybe tighten that up a little bit. Just my thought. It's okay.
I think what we would have to do is really talk to the police chief about how, I don't want to make decisions for him in
Okay.
terms of how quickly they can do that. It should be done quickly, and I would hope they wouldn't let somebody go out a year. So I have no objections to adding specific dates and that it needs to be done. Sooner is better than later, obviously. So I would have to definitely, I believe we should talk to the chief of police to see
Okay.
in what time frame we can make that happen. Is the chief on tonight?
Chief, do we have you online?
Council President, it's Carissa. He just stepped out.
Okay, okay. All right, we can always come back when you get back into the office there.
Mr.
All
Motivair?
right. Go ahead, please.
Yep, at the end, it says further the CPRB. Just looking at the organization's website, it calls for an organization, so I just question whether it should be the CPRB or the City of Schenectady in that language.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe Mr. Colden could answer that.
Mr. Palmini, I'm trying to figure out where exactly you're.
It's the last sentence of the very beginning of the last sentence of 93-7, Part A.
A.
Further, the CPRB shall be designated.
Uh-huh.
Should that be CPRB or the City of Schenectady? Because the website for the organization says it's an organizational membership.
Right. That was language that I think Ms. Porterfield may have included in that. I didn't do the research on that, so I'd have to look into that, Mr. Palomini, and we'll obviously get it right either way.
Yep. And then as far as everything else, I'm okay with the exception of the everybody should go, at least one member shall attend an annual conference. I think that's very dependent on the budget, and I would think that should be removed and is contingent on budget.
Mr. Motivair?
Go ahead, please.
Well, we do allow them a budget. I think it's about $1,000. At some point, we had talked about $1,500. And the cost of the training is actually minimal currently because people do not travel to training. So I don't see the point of us being a member if no one attends the training and then brings information back.
I think
If the conference is virtual, I have no problem with that. If we're sending somebody physically to a conference, then I would object. But as far as the training, if it's virtual, I'm in agreement.
Well, I'm in agreement either way, even if we have to send someone, because if we really want to be efficient, and that's what I think we're trying to get to, that we would have someone, perhaps the leader at the time, the chair, or someone else in leadership role to go. I think it's important that, if we're not, generally organizations send multiple people to trainings. I understand that we cannot afford that. So I think it's important that we have someone who is up to date on it and hears things from their colleagues or similar people around the country who are doing the work. So I strongly believe that we need to have someone in the room.
it does have, I mean, I also went to the website of the organization and it really has some great resources. So I'm glad that we will be a member.
Thank you.
Again, Mr. Motivair,
Go ahead, please.
again, I have no problem being a member of the organization. That's fine. All I'm saying is we should strike the last part of one member shall attend its annual conference because it's budget dependent. If we can send somebody, great, but to have it in there means we have to do it. And we might not always have that money.
Then I'm willing to say, go ahead, Mr. Mudavera, I'm sorry.
If I may add to that, Mr. Palomini, we can have it there at least one member, but if we do not have the funding, we don't need to send that person or approve the funding for that specific travel.
Mr.
And
Mudavera.
encourage them to be more online conference.
I'm
Go
in
ahead, Ms.
agreement
Ford.
with the online conference, so.
Mr. Mudavera.
Go ahead, Ms. Coleman.
Thank you. Just suggested language at the end of the word conference to account for what obviously what Councilmember Palomini's saying, and obviously with Ms. Porterfield and Mr. Mudavera and what you indicated. Perhaps put language in there subject to the budget or something along those lines. Just language in there that says it's subject to whatever the budgetary conditions are.
Like pending budget approval or something?
Or contingent upon the availability of funds, something. I don't have a problem qualifying.
Yeah, we can move this around and get it sorted out. Yeah.
Okay.
Any other question on this section? Okay, moving on.
Oh, Mr. Mudavaren,
Go ahead, please.
in letter G or point G, whatever you want to call it, I'm not sure if I think that might be a typo. It says CPCRB. It should
Yep.
be CPRB.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move to the next section. Ms. Porterfield.
Okay, the next section is 9310, under officers and bylaws, just adding that the vice president, they should select a chairperson and a vice chairperson. This was missing before, even though they have a vice chairperson, so just making it official.
Sounds good.
That is right. That is straightforward.
Okay.
Ms. Patrick, you want to say something?
Nope, I said sounds good.
Okay, good. Our next section.
Okay, 9313, under powers and duties, internal affairs complaints. I took out the double blind system and just left and the name of the complainant redacted, and this generated a lot of conversation. So we're back to the conversation.
Mr. Mudavaren,
Go ahead, Ms. Karen.
I think the gold standard, and I would not be in favor of this at all.
What is the gold standard, and what's its source?
In order for this to be a truly unbiased, we need to maintain a double-blind system. And I think, my own personal opinion, a double-blind, and I go to my banking career, it's like dual control. You have dual control over everything. You don't know. You don't know what you're looking at. You don't know who anyone is, because you're not going to have a preconceived bias on anyone. I think we need to maintain that so that we can be unbiased.
Okay. I wasn't sure, if there was someplace I could go look up the information on, where that particular standard came from.
Mr. Mudavaren?
Go ahead, please.
Yeah, this is the point that I also I absolutely believe in the double blind system. I think that it is the way to maintain that fair, impartial decision making. And I just think that we all do have, I know we talked about this last time, but I do think that we all have implicit biases, and any of us that have been, kind of reported for jury duty and have been asked that question, I just think it's really difficult. So if the double blind system is in place, I think it just helps us to be more intentional in making sure that the decision making that the CPRB is doing as they look at case by case brought to them, that I just think that it's really important. It is a piece of this that I just really feel very strongly about.
Mr. Mudavaren?
Go ahead, Ms. Paul.
Yeah, I also the double blind system is incredibly important. It's used in any legitimate scientific review. And to take that out, I think really harms the system we have in place. And confidentiality, even though we have that, is a bit of a concern if we remove the double blind system. But the double blind system itself is just, it's the minimum for the reviews for any scientific review, and making sure that the process is held without bias. So I would object to that.
Is the chief back yet? Because I wanted to ask him something in terms of redaction, because there's another piece which I didn't add in here, but I thought we would be open to discussion. I've never seen a actual document, but I'm told that in terms of some of the redaction in like the place that it happened. So I want to know from the chief, if he's back, if that's in fact true. To what level are documents redacted?
I am back.
Okay.
So the redaction currently right now is that names are redacted and places like home residences, certain identifiable factors are redacted right now on both ends. I have Lieutenant Masheron here with me now, and he spent time doing a lot of the redactions. Can you add anything more to that, Lieutenant?
Yeah, I think anything general, if I remember correctly, it's been a few years now, but any general locations wouldn't be redacted necessarily. But again, home residences, things like that would be, anything where you could identify a person via the address would be redacted.
Mr. Mudavari?
Go ahead.
So just for clarification, if someone lives at 123, I don't know, Albany Street, you redact the entire thing, or you simply redact 123?
You would, if I remember, when I would do it, I believe we would redact the actual address, but the street itself may still be included in there.
And that's the part that I'm concerned about. I would like, I understand not wanting to identify where a person lives and all of that, but I think it's important to know exactly where the incidents are happening. I think that's important for the people that are reviewing it. And also the time, is any time redacted?
No, I don't believe we redacted the time. I think that the main purpose of redacting the address was just so you couldn't identify the individual by the address itself.
Okay, so their address is gone, but perhaps their street name is still there.
Yeah, I
Is that
don't
what
see any reason that you would have to redact the street name itself.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that was there, because I'd heard otherwise, but as I told you, I've never actually seen a copy of any of the complaints when I've been to the meetings. I just got to sit on the sides because I wasn't a member of the board, which is fine. So I just wanted to just be clear on that, what the redaction, to what level it's redacted.
Yeah, Ms. Porterfield, if I remember correctly, I believe we would leave streets on there, even if I'm remembering incorrectly, coming from the perspective of the old internal affairs office. I don't see the need to redact the street. Just the address probably be the most crucial thing.
Okay, well, it's clear that there's not support for removing the redaction and staying with the double blind system, so there just isn't support for that at this time. And let me just so I understand that would not move forward with that in there. But let me just say, there are municipalities who do allow all of the information to be seen. So it's neither a gold standard that we redact or something, that in order to analyze it properly. There are other municipalities that do it. If we choose not to, that's fine. But I just want to be clear, there are other municipalities that let everybody's name be shown, where it happened, when it happened, and the name of the officers, etc. But if we're not going to do it, okay, I understand there's just not support for it now. It's got a big red place on it now. So I think that may have been the last one. Could you go down, Mr. Mudavari? Oh, wait, there's one right there. Oh, no, okay. So, thank you. So this one, it said before, this was already in there, that the board should be provided with, it previously said all documents. And so Mr. Colden made it clear to me that documents generally mean paper. So in terms of the board reviewing it, if they need additional information, we've added the records, including video and audio.
Mr. Motivaran?
Go ahead, please.
So I agree they should have the records.
Mhm.
But I do remember Chief Clifford saying that getting the video ready is time, it takes time and it's very costly. So I want it to be available, but I think it would be better suited if it would be available upon request instead of having them do that. I'm just trying to think of cost and time for the department. Some of the stuff does, probably most likely wouldn't need the video, but if the video is needed, they would request it. Is that possible?
Well, my understanding of this is that if they requested it, not like every single case gets it. So if they looked at a case and said, no, we need additional information, and in addition to that, we need to see the video and hear the audio, that's when this would come into play.
All right, as long as it's cleared that it's requested. I just don't want us doing it for every single one. That's all.
So should we put that in there?
Mr. Motivaran?
Oops.
Yeah, go ahead, Mr. Colden.
Thank you. Suggested language on that then, it would start out, the board shall request and be provided with.
Okay.
Can you repeat that, Mr. Colden?
The board shall request and, if requested, be provided with.
Okay.
I think, Mr. Motivaran.
Go ahead, please.
I think we just need to be clear that I support that as well, what we just did. But I also just want to make sure that that we make sure that maybe in the training and the orientation that the CPRB members do understand that process is so time consuming. I actually also had a chance to speak to Mr. Colden as well as someone in his office that has worked on these. And man, they kind of explained the whole process to me in terms of, if you're looking at a video and the police officer is standing in front of a glass window, they have to go cell by cell and make sure nobody is showing in that glass window. If they're in somebody's house, nobody's in a mirror. There's no family photos that are allowed. Health information. If there's a firefighter also in there, then that person, you have to be careful not to have that person in there. So I think this language works and I support it. I mean, I've written that myself, as Ms. Porterfield knows, that, documents didn't include we wanted to expand it. But I just think that it's important that folks do understand, if there's 10 police officers that show up at a call, every single one of their videos and audios is going to have to be redacted. So it might lengthen the time to review individual cases. So that's just a comment on, it was very informational and I appreciated hearing from Mr. Colden and the staff about this the other day.
Ms. Porterfield, are you okay with adding those few words?
That Mr. Colden recommended?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we'll get that added and get it to the final document. Any other comments on this section? Okay, and let's move on. There was one more here, Ms. Porterfield.
Yes. So when the CPRB initially started, there was the advisory committee. But the way the language was that after the advisory committee got everything in place, they would then step away. So I'm suggesting that the advisory committee stay active and every 6 months report to the city council. The CPRB members that are currently there did ask that they expand the CPRB, which didn't make sense because the language already says you can have an alternative, which is what they'd also asked for. So this allows that advisory board to not be necessarily hands-on, but to be able to take a look at what's going on and make sure that they're that the CPRB is meeting the way it should and doing all the things that it should be doing. So it's ideal that it was set up to when the board still was set up originally, and I think that it needs to remain in place as long as there's a CPRB. That's my suggestion on that.
I agree with that one.
Mr. Muda.
Go ahead, Mr. Colden.
Thank you. As it applies to that change, there are other sections then within within 93-22 that would have to change in order to bring back an advisory committee. Specifically in A, it says that the mayor and the city council shall within 90 days from the adoption each appoint 10 Schenectady residents. Obviously, if there's going to be a new committee, we're obviously beyond 90 days since this. So there would be other changes in order to reconvene or create an advisory committee.
So, Mr. Rivera?
Go ahead, please.
So if no one has an objection to us there being an advisory committee, is that language we can work on to make sure that it just flows?
Mr. Colden?
That's a question I think for the council. I mean, there's certainly
It's okay with me.
things that we can put together to, you know, create that, you know, the resurrection of the advisory committee. But obviously, it's a question for the council.
Yeah, I don't have an objection on that. I mean, we can work something into this language. And as Mr. Porterfield mentioned, just flow into C. Any other comments on this section? All right, I think Ms. Porterfield, I think we pretty much
Mr.
have an answer
Mudavarri?
here. Go ahead, Ms. Palomini.
Yeah, I just found these not that long ago, so that I have I guess it's more a question or suggestion question, maybe to Mr. Colden. In section 93-4 and 93-5,
Yes.
it says the board shall include 2 ex officio non-voting members, the Schenectady Public Safety Commissioner. My question is, the Public Safety Commissioner doles out the punishment. Should that person not be an ex officio member because it puts he or she in a precarious position?
I don't necessarily, because the public safety commissioner in that position is a non-voting member. I don't see a conflict, Mr. Palomine.
Okay, if there's no conflict, I don't have any issue. I just didn't want us to be in a position where the public safety commissioner who does the discipline might be in a process where they might violate someone's rights. So that's fine. Then 93.5 doesn't matter either.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so I think we just need a little bit of someone else with that. Go ahead, please.
It's me. I just didn't know if in oh gosh, this is 9313. I should have numbered my pages. 9313 section B. We had talked about the Civilian Police Review Board had recommended a change to how long it would take them to get a decision back to the complainant, I think. And I was wondering, he had kind of tossed around the 45-day thing instead of the 30-day thing.
Right.
Didn't know if we wanted to make that change also.
Oh, I'm glad that you brought that up, because I have it in my notes and I didn't bring it up. So thank you. Actually, the last time we had this discussion, Mr. Palomini said that because of how long we keep the documentation, not the documentation, the files, the video and all of that, it was only 30 days. However, and the chief of police then sent, at that time we thought that was correct. However, after that, we received an email from, all of us should have gotten an email from the chief stating that in fact they hold it up to 90 days. So, and so in my mind, that change doesn't need to take place. It would remain as is. I know that the CPRB asked about moving it out to 6 months. I think that's lengthy. So I just think that leaving it at the 45 days is probably just makes most sense at this time.
Oh, right, that's what it was. Complaints shall be untimely unless filed within 45 days. You're right. Sorry, I was in the wrong place.
It's okay.
Oh, so we're all set. We're all set.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, so Ms. Porterfield, so what we're gonna do, we're gonna just add the few words that needed to be added and move forward with this documentation. I want to thank you for your efforts in putting this together, and thank the CPRB members for giving us a lot of information to help us where we are today with this. And also, commend you for the effort you're putting into this.
Thank you. Mr. Colden, I need to ask Mr. Colden a question.
Go ahead, please.
All right, so do we just need to move forward as a council and vote on this, or does this need to go for a public hearing to amend this?
This is amending the city code, so you need to do a call for a public hearing to pass it out of committee, and then there'd be a resolution to have basically a public hearing, and then it would have to go through the process of the public hearing before the council can change the code.
Okay, so we have to pass it out of committee. We have to pass it. We'll pass it out of committee, then we have to pass it through the council next week. Is that what you're saying?
What I'm saying is, so tonight, the committee would have to have a legislative request to pass essentially a call for a public hearing. At the next council meeting, there would be a resolution, to call for the public hearing. And then there would have to be obviously time for people for the public hearing 2 weeks later. And then essentially after the public hearing, the council could pass, the resolution amending the code.
Okay.
So I'll make a motion that we call for a public hearing at the next council meeting.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. The next item is just a reminder for the Police Reform and Reinvention Collaborative. The public hearing is on March 8th. Mayor McCarthy or Chief, is there any updates that you would like to provide us? In terms of, this one I'm asking, sorry, is the timeline of the documentation for us to get it to the clerk's office so that we can share it to the public?
Yes. We're pulling it together, so I defer to the chief in terms of the actual state of some of the documents.
Sure. We have already sent over the FIN report to the council to review. We will be sending out the recommendation report that we are completing tonight to the members of the steering committee, which all the members of council are a part of. So you will receive our draft report that goes to the steering committee. Two things to keep in mind: we're sending you over the report, but we are still working on the formatting of the report. But all the text in the report is what will be in the report, and we will be waiting to finalize that before it goes officially to the council until the steering committee has an opportunity to review it and make recommendations to us on it, possibly add things to it or remove things. The goal will be to get it officially to the city council by the end of the day, Wednesday, Thursday morning at the latest.
Oh, that's perfect. Yeah, that's I was going to ask you if we can get it late Wednesday or early Thursday morning. You answered my question. Thank you. All right. Yeah. So this is just a reminder here. Thank you, Chief. Any other business for public safety? May I have a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Call orders.
Calling me.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Mr.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
Call to order public service and utilities. I believe the only thing is just a reminder of the public hearing coming up Monday with the acceptance of the ownership for the North End Drive. Don't think we need to do anything on that, so I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Ms. Pat,
I'll second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you.
Call to order government operations. There are 3 items on the agenda. The first item is a ceremonial resolution to honor St. Patrick's Day. Ms. Zaluski-Walzunas.
So we do this every year. Usually when we're meeting in person, we have a presentation with some Irish step dancers, and unfortunately, we're not going to be able to do that this year, but I would still like us to move forward with our traditional resolution to honor St. Patrick's Day and all of the Irish immigrants that are within the city of Schenectady.
Okay. So I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
I wish I could put some Irish soda bread, but I'll pass it.
The second item on the agenda, 2009 Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report, the CAPER. Ms. Diat, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, great. So yes, this is just the resolution for the 2019 Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report. The long title, it's the CAPER. It's basically the annual report on accomplishments of projects and programs that were approved and undertaken in the 2019-2020 Annual Action Plan. And this is using the CDBG, ESG, and home funds. We had an extension for this report, given just the delays with COVID-19 and just the ability to get everything together. We would like to announce the public comment period, which began today, and it's a 15-day comment period. And you can email public comments to communitydevelopment@schenectadynewyork.gov or mail them to the Department of Development at City Hall. So all that information is included in the notice. We've also included a summary of some of the accomplishments and are just asking for a virtual public hearing to which comments would be received by March 15th at noon to include on that day.
Ms. Diat, so where can people actually find the document itself?
On the city website.
On the city
And
website.
I can forward that link if you would like.
Yes, absolutely. Any questions from any other council members? Ms. Patrick?
I just want to say that the outcomes on this report, on the very last page, the last chart of the report, the outcomes were pretty great. So I just wanted to compliment all of the organizations, the Office of Development's leadership, but all the organizations that took part in all of these really accomplished a lot in 2019. So I just wanted to mention that. Good work.
Thank you, Ms. Patrick. Yeah, given all the challenges, I'm also proud of everything that was able to move forward.
All right, any other questions or comments? All right, thank you, Ms. Diat. And the final item on the agenda is for those of you that don't know Newest Lunch, it's this nice little place on Albany Street, been there 100 years. So they had really planned a major event, but given, we're in the midst of a pandemic, it's not going to happen the way they intended to. But there will be something, they are doing something. So as the council, I would like to definitely provide them with a resolution. And we don't have an exact date for that, but I do, just wanted to let you all know that if you, didn't know, I think it's outstanding anytime we have a business that longstanding in our city, regardless of where it is. I think it's important to recognize that. So I don't have a date yet for the ceremonial resolution, but that will be coming forward because I'm actually, with 100 years of history, I have to gather some information. So look forward to that happening, hopefully within the next cycle. So I just wanted to put that there, and hopefully we can all attend and maybe do something outside even, so when the weather's better. So that is it for that one, unless anyone has questions or comments. Okay, and then I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
I'll second. All those in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned. Thank you.
So I'd like to open city development and planning, and the first item on the agenda is Young Parents United, McClellan Street. Room recovery repeat, and Miss Diot, are you still on?
Yes, I'm still
The
here.
rezoning request, okay. This is on you, so go ahead.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep, so the Department of Development received a request from Ellis Medical Center and Young Parents United. They are proposing to change the zoning of several parcels along McClellan and Bradley from R1 and R2 to institutional zoning district, which aligns with the Ellis Medical Center that's there. So the purpose of this zoning request allows owners to pursue plans that include selling an underutilized section of the parcel to be used as multifamily dwelling units, specifically designed to support those enrolled in their transitional living program. So currently the zoning districts R1 and R2 don't allow for multifamily structures. I know Young Parents United has been looking for a good site that would align, location with services. And given that the properties adjacent to the other parcels are institutional, which is Ellis Hospital, the request is to basically incorporate these parcels into that as complementary uses. So Young Parents United, they would basically start a new facility that helps support young families in need, and the existing property currently functions as an overflow parking lot of the McClellan campus of Ellis Medicine. There was a lot of supporting material given the rezoning, and the request here is to declare intent to act as lead agency for the state environmental quality review by calling for a public hearing to determine the environmental significance of the project. City Council would call for a public hearing for the rezoning of multiple parcels and pass a resolution referring the zoning amendment proposal to the City Planning Commission for a recommendation. So this is really the first part of the process. The Planning Commission would review this, and then it would move from there.
So Ms. Diot, excuse me, this is in the parking lot. This is already on the Ellis campus, and they want to build there, or are they looking to take ownership of existing properties and renovate?
They already own this. It's at the they're called the northeast corner of the intersection of McClellan and Bradley. So it's a parking lot now. And
Yeah, so there's no building there, correct?
Correct.
Okay, all right, that's what I was trying to figure that out.
I think there's a map somewhere in here of it, but yes.
Kristen, I assume that one of the outcomes of this would also be to consolidate these parcels so that there would be one parcel that they would use for this, and that all the minor things would get consolidated and clear that up.
Correct. Correct.
Thank you. So it's okay, I got the map. I didn't know if they were existing already. That was my.
Right. Yeah, I think currently, and I believe Avi Epstein's on the call as well, but I'm pretty positive that the current site is overflow parking for Ellis currently.
Okay.
I think it might have said that in our.
No, I know, but I thought there was a building there. Sorry,
They're going to have a capital campaign, it looked like, from the materials.
Yeah, okay. Any questions?
I'll move it.
I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Kristen. Nice job. So the next item on the agenda, don't go anywhere,
I'm still
2019
here.
Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report. So you're amending
There's a lot of
to
things
the
on there.
agreement between the Bethesda House and the city of Schenectady.
Yes, so this is simply a change based on our contract for $60,000 with Bethesda House for the homeless prevention and rental assistance. Given the eviction moratorium, Bethesda House was unable to fully expend these funds during the contract year, which expired September 30th of 2020. So it's basically just reallocating this funding for the use of the tenant-based rental assistance program. And there's a letter included for this request. And this is, the remaining balance is $44,208. And so it's just making you aware of this change in use based on the current restrictions.
Okay.
So we'd like the council to authorize the mayor to amend the agreement to reflect the tenant-based rental assistance program.
Okay. Are there any questions?
So moved.
And I will second. All in favor?
Aye.
Authorization to transfer 1009 Strong Street and 1011 Strong Street to the Land Bank Revitalization Corporation of the Capital Region, authorizing to provide 100,000 CDGB funded forgivable loan to the Land Revitalization Corporation of the Capital Region.
Yes, that's another long, very long title, but this is an exciting project. This is in partnership with the Affirmative Action Office and the Land Bank. It's a chance to rehab a property on Strong Street that we also had demolished the building next door. So the idea is to basically combine those two parcels and renovate the existing property. So, you know, given our 2020 to 2024 consolidated plan, we prioritize housing needs and the creation of economic opportunities for residents in the city of Schenectady, given priority to the NRSA designated area. And this project gives us an opportunity to incorporate training for Section 3 residents and to basically find a good use for a blighted property that was demolished. So what we are requesting here is that the city council authorize the transfer of 1009 Strong Street and 1011 to the Land Bank, the Land Reutilization Corporation of the Capital Region. And then also we intend to allocate 100,000 of CDBG funds towards the rehabilitation of this project.
Okay, are there any questions?
Mr. Lewski-Walzinis?
Yes, go ahead, Ms. Porterfield.
So, Ms. Giat, so we're giving, you're asking us to provide 100,000. If, for instance, this project doesn't take that, just questioning, does the city get reimbursed that money? Or if the project goes over $100,000, is the city going to be asked for additional funds?
Yeah, I believe anything that's not used would be recaptured and it could be utilized for another project. The rehab will likely cost more, and I believe the Land Bank has committed to making up the difference. Dan Gray is also on the phone, and if he's there, Dan, I don't know if you have any other things to add about Ms. Porterfield's question? Looks like you're muted right now.
Oh, apologize. So I believe that, you know, we initially are going to allocate $100,000. The intention is to provide it in terms of a loan to the land bank. They'll then kind of cover the difference at the time of sale. Any additional proceeds that exceed the $100,000 and any carrying costs to the land bank would come back to the city. The expectation being that that sale price would buffer any additional expenses that might be accrued.
Thank you.
And I believe David Hogenkamp from the Land Bank is also on the line if there's additional information needed.
So David, it's Karen ZW. This is, I think, a good project, and I'm assuming there's sufficient funding within the land bank itself for it to come to fruition. Or maybe he's not on.
I think he's on, but if he's an attendee, maybe he just can't speak. Because I don't see a mute, like microphone next to his name.
Go ahead, David. Go ahead, please.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead, Dave.
Oh, hi guys. Well, I was talking to myself there. Hope everyone's having a good evening. Yeah, so the rehab is expected to take more than $100,000. The land bank will be looking to cover the additional amount that it will take, with the idea that when we sell the property, we'll be able to recoup our investment and hopefully continue to do more of these projects. Again, thanks to Dan Gray, Ron Gardner, we all been working close together, identifying local businesses that want to participate and really bring on some trainees. So happy to be a part of the project.
Thank you. Are there any other questions?
I'll move it.
And I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. I think the next item on the agenda is transfer of properties to Sura. Don't we usually do this at the beginning of the meeting? Mr. Colden, you're up.
This is not a SURA meeting. The SURA meeting will, thank you first, Ms. Zaluska-Balzanis. The SURA meeting will take place next week.
Okay, okay.
Meeting because everything's happening virtually.
Okay.
And I just want to apologize. It doesn't look like in the documents that were provided to the council for this evening's meeting that the ledge request form with just some of the backup that you've all seen before related to Sura properties, the transfer of properties to Sura was included. In the past, the city obviously has foreclosed on several properties as part of an in-rem tax foreclosure action. We've taken title to those properties after judgment. At this point, we're looking to have the city transfer the properties to the Schenectady Urban Renewal Agency. By doing this, in part will be, there's a tax benefit to it, but the other part, and I've been working with Avi Epstein and Molly McElroy, a lot of the properties that we get are vacant lots. They're not buildable as of right. By transferring them to Sura, they can then be consolidated with an adjoining lot that the city already owns, or that's in the name of Sura. And presumably the lot would then be buildable, so that somebody could potentially purchase the property and hopefully build a new home there. So that's something that we've done previously. We're looking to do it again. It would be authorization to transfer the properties to Sura, and at some point in the future, transfer the properties back to the city, so it would be the city receiving the properties back.
Okay. Are there any questions?
I'll move it.
And I'll second it. All in favor?
I did have a question. I'm sorry. I
Oh,
didn't
I'm
mute.
sorry.
Sorry.
Okay, because I didn't unmute fast enough.
Okay, sorry, Ms. Porterfield. Go ahead.
So, Mr. Colden, we don't have the list of the properties available to.
They were included, Ms. Porterfield. The only thing that wasn't included was the description. It doesn't look like that was in there. It looks like there was a placeholder there, but there was a Schedule A that was provided with all the properties.
All right, maybe I didn't scroll down far enough. Okay, as long as it's there.
I know
Thank you.
it is there. It is definitely there.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions? So I'll
Well, I
take
moved it. You seconded it.
second it. So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It is moved to Sarah. So the next item on the agenda is the assignment of an interest in 133 Edison Avenue to the Schenectady Metroplex Authority and the land revitalization of the capital region. So Mr. Colden, does this need to go into executive session?
I would suggest that the council bring this up in executive session since it has to do with conveying an interest in
Yeah.
property to an outside agency.
Okay. All right. So I'll entertain a motion to go in executive session.
So moved.
And I will second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. We'll see you on the other side.